Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Mott. On today's episode, we have Jacob Wallace, the singer of Brojob and Coldharbour. Today, we're talking about Pokémon, the card game, the millions of games that are out, TV show, some of the movies. You'll hear that Jacob goes deep-rooted with these games and has played pretty much every single one throughout. Before we get into that, there's a few news topics. They just announced that The Last of Us Part 2 is now set to release on June 19th. I just finished Part 1. It ends on a real cliffhanger if you played this game, so I can't wait to get my hands on this game. Also, I know that the script was leaked, so if you don't want to get spoiled on the story of the game for this new one, definitely watch out for spoilers. Also, there's a Hellraiser series coming to HBO. Also, on Monday, May the 4th, the entire Skywalker saga up on Disney Plus, meaning The Rise of Skywalker, will be available for you to watch along with all the other Skywalker saga movies. Along with all those being available, the Mandalorian docuseries that I mentioned in a previous episode will be live to watch, as well as the finale for the last season of Clone Wars. That's it for the news. Let's get into this conversation with Jacob Wallace. Hey Jacob, what's up, man?
What's going on there, guy?
Hanging out Friday.
Well, yes, it is Friday, even though I kind of don't really think of the days of the weeks anymore.
Yeah, it's very strange for sure. I've been trying to keep like a normal quote-unquote work schedule as I'm going on and tried to take the weekends off, but sometimes I have editing work to do and I put it off until the weekend, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this has to drop on Monday. I guess I have to edit this all weekend.
Well, now especially that you have this podcast thing going, man, and you have some very handsome guests, I might add. So I might be a little biased in that, but I think that you're doing incredibly well with this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So how has the whole virus affected you as a whole, other than not knowing what day it is? Because I think that's everyone.
Yeah, it certainly is. The virus generally has been, for me as a musician, constructive. It's been good to be able to stay inside, but it's also done this thing where I take to social media and equip myself with my keyboard and start going to town on people because I am unfortunately very politically invested and am very vocal with my stupid opinions. So
yeah. That can become a problem. Not really for a problem as in a bad way, just a problem as being annoying for you, because I've been there. I like to keep my opinions off the internet for that reason, because it usually only ends up in bad things and you end up becoming
pissed,
not becoming friends with people you thought you were friends with. Because there was one thing I posted that was political, and it seriously wound up on me losing friends. Like, not even a joke. But if they really believe that kind of stuff, then I'd kind of rather not have them in my life, to be honest.
Yeah, it's honestly about convictions, and that's one thing. Like, not to get super politically charged, but I mean, I can be friends with someone and have a completely separate view, completely whatever. That is totally cool with me. But when you start impeding on human values, that's when I kind of start to draw the line. And
same here.
So I don't know. I'm very vocal. I haven't figured out that lesson yet. I'm 26. Let's see how long I can go before I realize that I'm being a fucking moron on the internet. But aside from that, I've also been writing all sorts of music. The Brojob album's almost done. The Coldharbour album is almost done as well, which I probably would not have been able to do if the virus had not come. So, yeah, that's about where I'm at with everything.
Yeah, that's true, because like we were talking before this, we haven't met in person, but obviously we've known each other for
a while.
A year and a half, maybe close to 2 years now. Because
it's almost been 2.
Yeah, because I booked your band Brojob, if people don't know, they're listening to this.
Yes.
And that's very true about you not being able to, because you guys would have been leaving for tour in a month or so.
Yes.
If things would have gone according to plan.
Exactly. And things would have been oh God, I miss it, man. Honestly, it is sad to think about, but I am excited to be able to take the extra time to plan and, you know, in the ways that we can make income or whatever, we can start saving for a more successful potential album or tour, whatever comes next. So, you know, using the time to my advantage, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously you guys have a very wild and interesting online presence. Well, it's crazy because you're one of the first bands I picked up that hasn't really toured, and they started touring and they were already doing well, which is
Mhm.
cool.
It
And
was
it's
it was
been a cool journey so far for sure.
Yeah, it's in the very beginning, we were definitely not really sure what we were doing because of that kind of interesting, niche, whatever. And yeah, so thank you for helping guide us. We appreciate that very much.
That is
But
my job. Well, I guess not
yes,
job right now, but still sort of
podcasting
my
very
job.
handsome men as well. So again,
And making ridiculous flyers for you when you asked me to.
yes, like the dinosaur smoking and God, the other one, yeah,
With the fucking lotion and shit. That was one of the funniest tour admins I've ever made, I think. Because
oh
you're
my
just like,
God.
yeah, what do you think about this idea? And I'm like, I got you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I still have
There it
these.
is. Yes.
Fucking A, man. Yeah.
Amazing.
The big bowl of salad or wheat. I showed this to my employer at the time, and he was like, "Oh, what's that? A big dish of salad?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Vinaigrette oil on the side, not hand lotion."
Vinaigrette with a pump.
Look, man, they eat massive bowls of spinach, and they need to pump it. Otherwise, it's not effective. You don't want to take it off and just go to town without any, pump. That would be ridiculous. All right, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. That's amazing. Big fucking bowl of lettuce. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
just saying,
salad.
man. It is, and it's kind of weird how we came to that. But anyway, yeah, tour. I'm excited to do. I'm very excited to do.
When we can get back to that, it'll happen,
Yes.
and it'll be great.
Absolutely.
Because you'll have new music out, and it'll be awesome.
I will. And honestly, one thing I've been doing a lot while touring too is some people, Pokemon had just come out right after that. And so like some people in the new states that we would go to were like had their Switch and they were talking about competitive Pokemon or whatever. So
Whoa.
I would get to battle a couple more people. So that's another thing I got to do. Yeah. So
that is sick. Because that
more stuff.
When Sword and Shield came out, right?
Yes, when Sword and Shield first came out in November, because November was the first tour. I beat the game then. Then January was like when everybody was super starting to get into like the competitive part of it. Mm-hmm. So that's when I started playing a little bit more. Yeah, it's good stuff.
That's awesome. I haven't done the competitive part, and I feel like I should because that stuff is what gets me stoked. I love beating the game, but we'll talk about a little later about the game because we'll get in the game later. But
yeah, perfect.
So other than Pokemon. Is there any other nerd stuff you're into?
Yes, everything about my personality is a big fucking nerd. I love Pokemon. I love Yu-Gi-Oh. I love games. I love manga. I'm getting more and more into anime as I go on. So pretty much consuming all of that, especially in this weird state of unemployment. But yeah, I would say a lot of Japanese-inspired stuff, really. Seems to catch my eye.
That's cool. Are you into any of the comic stuff or more just manga?
I haven't ever really given it a fair chance. I have a bunch of friends who have gotten into comics, and I did a little bit of. I actually wrote a couple papers, like going through college, on the effects of comics on popular culture. So I've only really dabbled in understanding like how it was, effectively, I guess, broadened to the masses over time.
Because that literally is pop culture now. Well, anime is coming up now for sure too.
It is.
But yeah, comics is pop culture nowadays.
It's very strange because I remember in that class hearing people talk about like even 20 years ago, comics were like the nerd thing. Nobody liked them. It was unpopular to like them. It wasn't cool. And now it's not cool to not like them. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's so wild because I came from the opposite where I was into the movies and the movies got me into comics eventually. And I feel like that's what the movies were meant to do, but they don't do because it's really hard to get into comics unless you know what to get into.
Yes.
In a way. So I was kind of helped because I was always around like nerds and everything.
Right.
Like I've been into that stuff since I was a kid. It's just until getting to comics, it was more of just, hey, I want to hear the stories that helped create these movies and TV shows and stuff like that. But in the last like probably 5 years, it became the opposite where it's like, oh, you don't like Marvel?
Yeah, it's
You're
crazy.
a loser, you know? And I'm like, wow. I was like, I had fucking Batman sheets in my bed when I was 5, and I thought everyone thought I was the biggest loser in the world.
Now people are getting married and getting Batman fucking beds, man. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
dude. It's fucking
shit's
crazy.
sick.
And it's funny you mentioned anime because my wife Sam, she manages a Hot Topic, so and that Hot Topics are pop culture mecca. Like that's where you get your pop culture shit. Like that is where you go, which is funny because a lot of people don't know that.
Yep.
I think it's more if people are like in our age and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, Hot Topic's like the goth thing, unless they're into this stuff, and then they go there to buy the stuff. But
Yep.
but yeah, they have a huge anime section now. You know, it's all Dragon Ball Z and My Hero, and they're starting to get stuff like JoJo's, and obviously they have Naruto stuff and everything.
Right.
So it's cool. I mean, it kind of helped me get into anime more because I was really only into like Dragon Ball Z and like Sailor Moon when I was a kid, and I didn't really watch anything until the past like year or so, and now I've just kind of been getting into one after another pretty much.
Yep. I think that's really how it's starting to go with a lot of people because I don't know, there were only like some animes that were like cool to watch, I guess, and like now there's also this entire other type of person who's like almost elitist with anime, and they're like, I know every single anime. If you like Attack on Titan, Death Note, and My Hero Academia, you are not a true anime fan. And you have to like only subs. Like I don't understand that behavior, but I get where it came from. In any case, it is something that's becoming more popular now, and it is going to be interesting to see how that takes a bigger role in society. I'm guessing in the next 5-10 years.
Because obviously now a lot of stuff's getting turned into live action, which most anime live action stuff has been pretty terrible.
Yeah.
But I will defend that I don't think Death Note is as bad as everyone says it is. It is. It is different. I've only watched some of the anime, but I get the vibe of it. Obviously, I think I watched like the first season, and I get the vibe of it. And obviously, it's a little different, but it's the same premise, and the guy looks pretty cool.
It is, and I will give them that. I
just like if you compare. This is what I want to say. If you compare it to the other adaptations, it is good.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's terrible. And also, Ghost in the Shell was a sick movie. I don't give a fuck. Yes. I know everyone was mad that Scarlett Johansson was major, but she's not Asian in the anime anyway. She's a fucking robot. Like, who cares? I can kind of get it with Death Note a little bit. Like, obviously, they could have done an Asian American actor, and it would have been easy.
Fine. Right.
But they probably tried to. That one dude's pretty popular. You know, he was in a bunch of movies. Maybe that's what they were trying to go off of. Who knows? But
I think that was that was a lot less of the controversial aspect, I think, in my eyes. And I think like some people are a little bit hypercritical on that end. But that's of course like a nuanced opinion. But I think that like with the Death Note thing for me was because that was like the anime that like got me into other animes in 7th grade. So I watched all the way through, and when I watched the live action, I was assuming it would be like the same kind of dealio, and like the portrayal of light. At least if you look on YouTube, there's one part where it says like scene by scene, like what it was like for him to first experience seeing the Shinigama, and he's in the anime, he's like, oh yeah, all right, like I'm surprised, but like everything's cool.
He like cool guys him.
Yeah, he does. He literally cool guys him. And that's just like a very typical type of anime protagonist kind of thing. They're all assholes who are overconfident and for some reason fucking zealous of the rest of the world. But anyway, he, in the actual live action movie, freaks the fuck out and is like throwing everything around and starts screaming and losing his mind. And I'm just like, dude, that is not at all. I mean, now with that said, yes, they did some things right. But personally, to me, it wasn't my favorite. I didn't like it very much. But
it is also hard turning a series into a movie.
Yeah,
it probably would have been better if they made it like a limited series or something to kind of stretch out. It's hard to squish one long story into an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's
honestly, and what they could have done is even something like what Square Enix did with Final Fantasy VII, right? Like that story is massive and complex in the original, and so what they did with the remake is they sectioned it off. They said, okay, only this much of the story we can tell, so it's only the portion in Midgar. And then they're going to have a sequel after that, or maybe a sequel after, who knows. But the point is, if you can't effectively tell the story, then why are you telling the story? And number two, if not that, then maybe just section it off like that. I think the people who are really into it are going to, enjoy it for what it is regardless. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. So.
That's fair. And I mean, I guess him reacting like that is kind of also the other typical anime protagonist where they just cry and whine at everything.
Cry and scream and oh my god, dude!
Lots of crying.
Have you seen Tokyo Ghoul by chance?
No.
It's another one of those like.
I know it's like a super popular one.
Yeah, it started really good, and he's total fucking crybaby in the beginning, and like. It's insane.
It's wild because Sam and I are about to finish Hunter x Hunter, and we have 3 episodes left, like no joke, and almost done. And the main character Gon is literally a combination of Goku from DBZ and Deku from My Hero. Obviously, I don't know when the books came first, but obviously it started in 2011, so obviously it came out before My Hero came out. So I'm not saying it like copied Deku, but if I'm taking it from stuff I watched, it's the perfect, but he gets teared up sometimes, but he doesn't cry. He's like the strongest child I've ever met. It's like almost if Goku was Gohan, in Dragon Ball Z, because Gohan's like he runs around crying the whole first season. but yeah, he's cool. Hunter x Hunter is awesome too. It kind of sucks you right in, but it's like I swear every anime I watch, it's like there's some test of some sort that they have to pass for some sort of certification, and then and then there's a tournament, and then
it's a trope. It's a trope,
But I don't care. I like it.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's fucking awesome. I mean, it's representative of like what our current society goes through to some kind of extent. Yeah, I mean, personally, I was a little sad boy growing up. I cried a fucking lot, and now. I grew up to sing in a band about sucking dick and taking massive loads in the face. So fuck them. I don't know.
Dude, I cry a lot as a 30-year-old man.
Yeah.
Everything makes me emotional.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what? Take that. We're manly as fuck as we cry. So
yeah. I mean, I watch comic book movies and they make me cry. It's fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, I watch anything on TV and it'll make me cry. So it's whatever.
Dude, Final Fantasy, I fucking cried quite a bit of the way through. I mean, it's so... Like, that storytelling is just fantastic. But
I've never played any of those games, but you and some of my friends talking about it makes me want to play it.
Dude, it's like, especially like the way that they made this one. You don't need to play the original to fall in love with it. But I think they did such a great job because the original came out in 1997, and it was like graphics that looked like Legos or something. Like,
oh god,
you're watching a bunch of Legos fucking walk around. It's ridiculous. So. Of course, the storytelling is incredible, so your imagination encapsulates that. And they did such a good job of portraying exactly what everyone was thinking at that younger age. I don't know.
That's awesome.
It's neat.
I think I'm gonna end up playing it, to be honest, especially with everything that's going on.
Please, I need more people to talk about it too. Oh, Lordy.
So now we'll get into Pokemon. Do you remember what got you into Pokemon? We have a few years age difference, so I'm very curious to see how it hit you when you were a kid.
Yeah, I was like 5 years old, and I guess to like start it off, my dad had always been in management of like entertainment places. Like when I was really young, he was the general manager of Chuck E. Cheese, for example, and he would bring home toys for me or whatever as a kid. And one day he brought home Pokemon Blue. And he said that there was like a kid that left it on a table or something like that. And I was like, oh, well, screw him. It's mine now. So I don't know. But anyway, I played the game and it was very confusing to me. The graphics like were hard for me to, interpret at like 5 years old.
Yeah, those original graphics were something else.
Yeah, they're pretty rough, especially like seeing what Venusaur or something looks like.
Dude, it's wild.
It's like you look like a bunch of bubbles or something. I don't.
But it was Game Boy world, Game Boy. So it makes sense that it was.
Yeah, it's rough. Very difficult.
Everything was rough, kind of like graphic wise.
I mean, honestly, it captured the image well, and obviously a couple years later they did Gold and Silver, and those were fucking amazing. So yeah, I played that game quite a bit, but never really understood it. And then I started watching the show when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
So the show came right after that, and then of course when Pokemon cards started getting into it, and then like I don't know. That's how I started, and then ever since then, I've just been a massive fucking Pokemon nerd.
Yeah, I can't remember if I think mine started with the cards. Like the cards might have come first because I think I was in fourth grade when it all rolled out, and I bought the cards. But the only thing that sucks is that I wanted to play the game, like the card game, but no one else cared about it. They just
Yeah.
collected it.
Yep.
So I think that's why I never got into like Magic or like D&D because I wasn't surrounded with people that like cared enough to want to involve
Actually do
themselves in
competitive
that
stuff, right?
yeah, which is kind of a bummer because every time, like especially now, and you hear people talk about D&D and stuff, and I was like, I think I would fucking love that shit, but I just never had anyone who was into it. So,
Yep.
and now everyone's like fucking experts in it, and I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck to do with it other than the general idea of it. But so I was collected the cards. I had like I had every sick card that's worth like tons of money now.
Hell yeah.
Like yeah. So I love that shit. And then when the game came out, I bought the game. Loved the game. I had every version of it in the beginning. I had fucking red. I had blue. I had yellow. And I was so stoked about yellow because yellow came out after the show was popular, obviously. And then you have Ash and Pikachu, and you fucking start off with Pikachu, and you're like, fuck yeah. And he even walks behind you, just like in the show.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it was the cards that got me into it, but that rolled into everything. Like everything Pokemon was sick when they had the fucking golden cards at Burger King or McDonald's or whatever the fuck it was.
Burger King. It was Burger King.
And you get it with the stuff. Those are also worth $0 now, just because I work at a comic book shop part-time, and they sell collectibles and stuff too. And a couple people got them in, and they would sell those for like $10. So they're worth like nothing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because everybody got it at the time,
Well, if you think about it, it's like the cards you got when you went and saw the movies. Like everyone who saw the movie got a card. That's thousands of people. Same thing with toys and fucking Burger King kids meals. Like thousands upon thousands of people get it. Like, do you think that was rare? Like, what do you mean?
Right. It was really just a collectible that was being capitalized on, and my God, that was smart of them to do that. So,
I love that shit. I was like, this is so fucking cool. It's a Pokeball, has a gold card in it. As a kid, you're like, this is the coolest shit ever.
That Mew thing still so much. I have I got a tank top that has like the Mew card design on it or whatever.
Yes.
I found it online. So I have that, but it's instead of it being like the amber color, it's like white. I don't know. It's weird. But fucking it's just such a cool shirt. I don't know. It's just such a cool design.
Oh, dude, yeah. I love that shit. That shit was so sick. And I remember watching the movie, that moment with fucking Pikachu and Ash.
Whew. Still, dude, I'll still cry about that shit.
Oh, me too. That's like anytime there's like an emotional thing that I reply on Twitter, I use the Pikachu gif.
Oh,
it's perfect.
It's a real heart-wrenching kind of thing I mean, it's like those images that say like, I never knew an image could, make you like smell something or make you whatever. Like it's that with like crying with that thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that might have been the first time in theaters I was like emotionally invested in something, I think.
Yeah, I was
because like what else really would have done it when I was that young? I don't think
exactly. Because
I've been following this thing since the start, played the games.
You're very emotionally invested.
Show. Yeah.
There's so many avenues to get invested into it, and of course at that like young of an age, like adult problems don't make any goddamn sense, so I'm gonna focus in on this fucking mouse.
This mouse that's fucking powered with electricity.
Yeah, dude. God. And now he's storing all my money in this little bank thing.
I love it.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. So who's your favorite out of the OG 150 favorite Pokemon?
See, I knew that this was coming, but I don't know if I like completely prepared a good response because like I want to say Venusaur most likely.
Okay.
And it's probably because of like the competitive meta has kind of ruined my mind when it comes to thinking about how to like, oh, that's a cool design. I like it for that. Like, not anymore. Now I'm like, well, does his type or whatever like mitigate whatever this blah 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 like and I don't know. Anyway, Venusaur is probably my favorite. He's a big ugly thing. I always name him Penisaur, which is hysterical. And I really love the grass, and he's also the first like starter that had two different types, so that's pretty neat. I like that.
Yeah, I think mine was in a similar vein, but different starter, Charizard.
Charizard.
Which I guess technically now is different types because he's kind of part dragon too.
Wait, actually, wait, no, he is fire flying. Yeah, no, so he wasn't the
Oh,
first
he's flying. Yeah.
fire flying. Yeah, for whatever reason he's flying.
Oh, I think all of them were because Squirtle had some like fighting and rock type stuff too.
I think he's just water. He's just plain water, but he has access to Power Gem, I think, in one of the metas, which is a rock type move. So
yeah, because I think he can learn rock type moves, at least now. It changes.
Yeah, it changes every gen. I want to say he might get access to Stealth Rock. I don't fucking know. It's been a really long time since I've played, but
yeah,
since like January, but really long time for me.
super long time. But yeah, the OG 50 had a lot of badass Pokemon, and I think when it started expanding, it's when I started to get out of it a little bit. Not the first, because second gen, I still played Silver and Gold, which those games
Silver,
are
Crystal,
fucking dope.
They're
I didn't play
gems.
Crystal actually. I only played Silver and Gold because that one came after, right? Because those two came out at the same time, and then that one came after.
It was like yellow to red and blue. So
yes. Maybe I did them. I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, they updated it with like they made the colors different. So like, and then the Pokemon also got animations when they would like scroll in. So yeah, it was a really cool. That was like my first game that I like played through all the way and completely understood all of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had a friend like in elementary school, and his dad one day came home and got 2 Pokemon crystals and just gave it to us. So
that's sick.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever understood. Like, okay, so I'm hitting this thing with this type of okay, and this one works better. You know, like I didn't understand that shit when I was younger. So
yeah, it's funny because that's the competitive stuff and like the thinking of the types and the strategy of it. I was always super into that. Yeah. I think because I like would study the cards and stuff. Yep. And because I remember Pokemon Stadium, like that's literally what it is. It's like Mortal Kombat, but with Pokemon. But it's still turn-based. It's not fully because any like hit, combat. Yeah. Because all those games I'm pretty terrible at, unless it's a story mode game. But if it's like a versus game like Smash or Mortal Kombat, I'm just bad at it because I can never learn the moves right. For whatever reason, I just can't do it. I don't know. It's just not in me. Like I try and it just doesn't work. I don't get it.
Those fighting games, like they're kind of annoying because you have to get your ass kicked relentlessly for so long to get like sort of decent. Like and so like Smash, I'm pretty decent at Smash, but like Mortal Kombat, I never really played a whole lot. I played it a couple times and I get my ass kicked every time, and you know, I've already gone through the process of getting my ass kicked on Smash, so I'm like, that's enough ass kicking for one, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I think the only game I was good at with that stuff was Tekken, because I had one of the Tekkens for like PS1 or something, and I was pretty good at that, but the moves were easy. They were like 3 or 4 button combos. Have you ever played Injustice?
Yeah, on a demo thing in like Walmart, but I saw friends play it. So
so it's like the DC Mortal Kombat, but it's got an insane story mode with it. And the moves in that are like, some of them are like 20 button combos, and I'm like, how does anyone do this? I don't get it. Like I was in like the 4th or 5th like match in story mode, and I was getting my fucking ass handed to me on like normal or easy, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, this sucks. I literally bought it, and I think I returned it like a week later. I was like, I can't do this shit. Like
Injustice 10 for fans of Guitar Hero and Super Smash Brothers combined.
Yeah, like how am I supposed to do this? I was like, how does one move where it takes me 10 seconds to do the combo supposed to work in a fighting game? Like, what do people? I don't understand. If people like the flash with their fingers, I don't get it.
I guess, man. And it's a very one of those niche things too. Like, I guess when you start getting into it, it's probably like that much more expensive. And I don't know.
I guess. Like, it's all these fucking crazy people. They're like Neo from the Matrix, but playing Injustice. They're all the chosen one or some shit. Like,
I guarantee too, you got into. I bet if we were to like hop into the YouTube comments of like maybe some Injustice tournament or something, like that's probably a very gate-kept community too. It just like seems to go very hand in hand, like very complicated systems of play and very angry people.
Usually how it goes, for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
good. And then I think the last game I played until I kind of got out of Pokemon, I guess, because I played everything that came out, and to a point. Like I said, I played Pokemon Stadium, which was sick, and that was the one you play with your friends. You know what I mean? You like see who's better at Pokemon, and I would usually win that shit because I was pretty smart with types.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I played Pokemon Snap because it was just fun. You're fucking taking pictures of Pokemon. Fucking cool.
Love that game. Loved it. Fucking loved it. Getting Mew at the end was like such a fucking like weird and cool experience, but I kept on trying to take a picture and then he wouldn't show up in the thing later, and I was like, what the fuck is happening?
And I think the last game I played was the Ruby and Sapphire versions, which was the first ones for Advance, I think.
They were.
And I don't really remember them because obviously it was a pretty long time ago.
It's the Hoenn region. Yes, I remember them because I'm a fucking nerd for this shit, man. Like a nuanced one. But yeah, no, those I remember specifically getting both of those at the same time by my mom. It was for my birthday, and she gave me a really bad haircut in the garage.
Oh my God.
That was the only, like, I just remember her feeling bad for giving me a horrible haircut. She like left and came back, and like I had both the games then. I was like, all right, I have fucked up hair, but now I get these games. So.
Yeah, because getting a bad haircut when you're a kid is like the worst thing ever. It's like the worst thing that can
too.
It's the worst thing that can happen to you because you have to go to school with a terrible fucking haircut, and everyone be like, "What the fuck happened to your head? You fucking loser! Like, why the fuck's your hair all fucked up? Can't go to a place to get your haircut nice?" Which sucks because most of the time where I'd go get a haircut, it would be at a place in the mall. Now, knowing now, those aren't good places to get your haircut, but you're a kid, your mom's paying for it. What do you know? And then you have to go to school. Great clips,
man. Or she's going to save money and just do it in the garage and just completely butcher all forms of potentially making friends. So yeah, thanks, Mom. Hope you're listening.
At least you had Pokemon, though.
Honestly, yeah, I should really stop bitching. She did spend the money on the Pokemon games right then and there. So that helped me out quite a bit.
So was there like a period where you got out of Pokemon, or did you stay through?
Actually, yeah. I would go on and off. And so I remember specifically being the little weird nerdy kid that I was and searching for like friends because I didn't have any, you know, and in like 5th or 6th grade, all of my friends started making fun of Pokemon. All of like the people in elementary school, not my friends, again, didn't have friends. All of my peers, I should say. So it was like the not cool thing to do. So I was like, oh yeah, fuck this. Yu-Gi-Oh is way cooler. And so I got really into Yu-Gi-Oh.
What?
And then yeah, I know. Then I got really back into Pokemon, but I did it in secret from like 6th grade to 9th grade. For like 3 years, I literally, if I had a friend coming over, I had my DS and was playing Diamond and Pearl, and I would literally fucking like flip it off and go hide it because I didn't want them to know that I was playing Pokemon. Because I fucking loved it. Yeah, so that was weird. So I would pretend to get off of it, and then I would be off of it, and then I wouldn't. But right after the games Black and White came out, that's the 5th gen, I played through those, and as soon as I finished it, I just put it down and stopped playing altogether until the next generation came out, which was X and Y, like 3 or 4 years later. So there were a couple periods, but ultimately, yeah, I played every single game. I played every single generation. Most of the time I played both the counterparts or whatever, like X and Y. And then fucking Sword and Shield. And I haven't played Sword. I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that anymore. It's a waste of money. But yeah, I get pretty crazy about it, that's for sure. I have like 300 hours on Sword and Shield already. It's fucking stupid.
Damn, that's sick. I beat it and I kind of just stopped playing it. I need to get back into it. But
I started breeding, dude. Like when you start learning to breed and make perfect Pokemon, it takes so fucking long and it's really annoying. And it's grinding for sure. But like after that November tour, I didn't have other shit to do, so it was like, I'm gonna play this forever.
Yeah, for me, I pretty much stopped after Ruby, and I think I got to a point because at that point I started skateboarding, which I was very terrible at. So I stopped skateboarding and started playing guitar, and then I'd start going to shows, and when I was like 15, 16, and then I started, trying to be in a band. And I was in very terrible bands up through high school, as most people are, and then I went to college. So it was weird. For a lot of point, I didn't play any sort of video games because I had like PS2. That was the last system I had until I got like an Xbox 360. So like I missed like a whole section of like games, because usually when I had PS2, I played like Tony Hawk, and I played the NBA games then, and I would play random stuff like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. I love Crash Bandicoot stuff. Like I played the racing and all that shit.
Did you get the remake when that came out?
I have the remake of Crash Bandicoot now.
Insane Trilogy?
It's fucking hard.
Dude, it's so annoyingly difficult. But it's like, addicting because of that.
Yeah, I'm like, what the? I was like, I do not remember this game being that hard. But then I saw other people posting, like, no, they made it harder. And I was like, fucking dicks. Like,
They made it Dark Souls, dude.
So I'd go until I get stuck, and then I'd go to the next game. And I'd go until I got stuck, and I went, that's pretty much what I've been doing. It's funny.
That's smart.
I want to get racing. I haven't got racing yet for the Switch, and I want to get that because I loved that fucking game. That game was sick.
One was awesome. I remember playing that a lot as a kid.
Same. I loved that game.
Yeah, dude. I think I played it at friends' houses now that I come to think of it, because I remember loving it but not being able to play it that frequently at a younger age. So I guess I might not have had it. I don't know. It
was fun. Super fun. Yeah, I didn't get back into Pokemon until we were talking about this a little before off air, that I didn't buy a Switch until Let's Go, like Eevee and Pikachu came out. That's when I bought a Switch.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
But Pokemon Go got me back into Pokemon, which is crazy because I only played it for like the hype period, which was only a few months, pretty much until the end of that summer. I would go with people on raids and fucking go on parks and hang out. I was like fighting people at gyms and shit, because that's when Sam used to work at this huge mall in upstate New York, but we moved away from that city and she doesn't work. She works in a smaller mall now. But I would always go and pick her up or drop her off or whatever. And they had like fucking 3 gyms in this mall because the mall is fucking huge. So I'd go and try to beat the fucking gyms like every time I was there, and catch what Pokemon and hit the whatever the fuck they called them, the fucking like checkpoints or whatever.
Yeah, you spin the thing or whatever.
Yeah. But then I just got out of it like most people did, but people still play it, and it's the weirdest thing because adults play it who have no idea what the fuck Pokemon is. It's just something for them to do.
My dad and my stepmom, it was actually really fun for a while because like after everybody stopped playing it, my dad and my stepmom and my step siblings up in Indiana were all still playing it together as a family. So me and my 2 sisters drove up there, and we would like hang out and go on little Pokemon raids together as a big 8-person family. It was super fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was sick. And it's so funny because my dad used to give me so much shit as a kid for loving Pokemon. So
yeah,
now
I feel like
he loves it too. So take that, Dad. All right, sorry, I'm gonna stop trash talking both my parents on here now.
Dude, we're in the metalcore world. I mean,
we're in the metalcore world, and both my parents don't like that screaming shit. You should turn it down, Jacob, and start doing your country music. Thank you, Mom.
This is what you're gonna get, Mom, when I sing songs about dicks.
Dude, when I first told them about that, that was such an interesting conversation.
How did that go? I'm interested.
Yeah, so my parents are divorced. My mom lives down here in Kentucky with me, and my or not like with me, but in Kentucky. My dad's up in Indianapolis, and when I told my mom, I had to do it in a very delicate manner to kind of say like. And she knew about it when it was like, so it started as an anonymous project for like almost a year. And that was like when Brojob was its biggest. And I only had told like a couple friends and then like my mom. And she was just like, that's interesting. So when are you going to give that up and start singing? She's always been a big proponent of my singing, which has actually always sucked for a long time, and still I did singing lessons a year ago. Now it's starting to finally be okay, but I'll give that to my mom. And my dad, my dad was not very happy about it. he was pretty pissed about it actually. And he's not even like, he doesn't like, has nothing against gay or anything like that. He just thought it was really stupid. He had always tried to get me like out of metal music anyway. Like he was the one who got me into heavier shit. Like he liked Linkin Park and he liked shit like that when I was younger, and that kind of led me down that path. But he had always tried to say, yeah, exactly. he was always trying to get me to be more like a business person and whatever, and so I did like bits and pieces of that. But yeah, it wasn't until we released our first album, Talk Shit Get Kissed, that he actually like got on board with it, just because it did pretty well. So yeah, so now he's psyched about it, and my mom's always been supportive of it, while thinking it's a very curious thing. And it totally is. So I totally get that.
Yeah, so Pokemon Go came out, and
Mhm.
then they did a genius thing where they're like, hey, we're going to release this free thing, because probably the majority, besides you, I guess, forgot about Pokemon in a way. And maybe kids who watch the newer shows. I haven't watched the show since the OG, and I know it still has Ash and whatever, and
he finally won a championship.
He's still the same age 20 years later.
Somehow.
Like the Simpsons, they're the same age.
Yep.
I don't know. No explanation. They just are. And I still haven't watched anything, show related.
Yeah.
In regards to Pokemon since the OG one. I don't even know how the OG one ended, to be honest. The show. I have no idea.
I've watched a handful of them, and I have like some kind of idea. So like Ash has been trying to beat each, like, how we have the Elite Four in the game.
Yeah.
So they have something similar, except it's like tournaments where they have to go through, and then there's a winner of each tournament in each like generation. And Ash has lost every single one of them until this most recent one. He finally won. So everybody blew up.
I remember seeing that and all like the nerd.
Yeah. Everyone freaked out about it.
Like the nerd sites, Ash finally won one. And I was like, there's still a show? That was my reaction. And I was like, whoa, all right, cool. Good for Ash, I guess. 20 years later, dude.
He didn't win the first one? Like, what?
Yeah, that's not how it ended? He didn't end with it winning? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, so I watched like a couple of the seasons. Like I watched a couple episodes of like season or like the 4th gen, or like I did watch most of the 6th gen. I don't know. There's 8 generations now, to give you context. So it's a fucking lot.
Yeah. So yeah, Pokemon did this genius thing where they're like, hey, here's this free app to everyone. And it was smart because they're like, hey, you're going to have to walk around to use this.
Combat
which I thought was cool, but everyone played it, but it brought Pokemon back into the limelight, obviously. It was like the most downloaded app of the time, and everyone was fucking playing it. Like you said, your fucking parents were playing it. Even now, I think it's crazy people still play it, but I see even more. They're like, I'm like, are you playing Pokemon Go? And they're like, my friend who owns a comic shop, his dad plays it. He has no idea what the fuck Pokemon is, but he plays Pokemon Go. And he had like 3 phones out, I swear to God, all playing Pokemon Go. It might have been 2. I might be over exaggerating, but I was like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm just getting my shit for the day. And I was like, okay.
It's just it's so cool. And it's so funny because that reminded me of what my dad and my stepmom used to do. Instead of like saying what the Pokemon was, like they would describe it or something. And like that was so fucking funny because they'd be like, look, there's a rabbit over there. And it was like fucking Nidoran or something.
What?
Yeah, like oh god, I'm trying to think of the most absurd ones he would say. Like Voltorb, he would be like, look, there's a fucking ball. Let's go get it.
Them calling that rabbit. There's in Marvel, in the movies, there's a raccoon who talks.
Yeah. I watched the Avengers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You watched the Avengers. I'm not sure what you watched. But in Infinity War, fucking Thor calls the raccoon, Rocket the raccoon, he calls him Rabbit. And it's the best thing ever.
God, it's like my dad, dude.
This is my friend, Rabbit. It's like Rabbit.
I like how he starts to just go along with it eventually.
Yeah, he just in Endgame, Tony Stark calls Rocket Ratchet because he's using a fucking tool, and I was like, I didn't even play Ratchet and Clank, but I got it because that's like from the era. I was a kid when PlayStation came out, and Ratchet and Clank was a huge fucking game, and I was like, that's funny, and I feel like no one thinks it's funny because no one gets it, and I was like, whatever, it's funny.
Yeah. I had a buddy who loved Ratchet and Clank. Like that was his game, where Pokemon is mine. Yeah, and he was super into that stuff, and I liked watching it. So yeah, I got it. It was definitely funny. So I'll give you that.
So yeah, Pokemon Go, huge marketing thing, and then eventually they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna release Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, which is, as we know, a remake of the original Pokemon,
Yes.
which was sick.
Yeah.
I played Eevee. I didn't play Pikachu, but
I played Pikachu.
My wife owns Pikachu, so I could still play that because she didn't play. We bought both kinds. She wanted Pikachu, and I was like, I don't care. I just want to play the fucking game. So if you want me to get the other one, I'll get the other one. I don't care. And the dopest thing about that game is that you can get all the fucking starters in the beginning. Because I remember I had literally fucking Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur in my party like halfway through the game as they were fully evolved. And I'm like, I am unstoppable. No one can fuck with me. Yeah, I have the fucking 3 starters. What are you gonna do that is gonna take you by surprise? Like, no, I'm just going to crush you. That's it. And then I beat it, and I don't think I've played that. I definitely have not played that one since. But then I got stoked when Sword and Shield got announced, and I was like, oh, cool, a newer game.
The Pokemon Company is actually like, dude, they have to be like the most genius people constantly pushing shit over there. I mean, that it evolved like what you said. It started as a marketing thing. Some people just like got into it from that, and then like, oh yeah, by the way, play this. I don't know. But go on. Yeah, Sword and Shield, awesome.
Got me right. Yeah, Sword and Shield is sick. And the only thing I don't like is some of the cutscenes because they do the load thing into the cutscene, and some of the things you have to do unnecessary walking to an area to get to a cutscene because it'll be one cutscene, meet me over by this building, and then it goes to another cutscene. It's like, no, just continue the cutscene of them walking, and then continue the whole cutscene. Like, no, there's no need for that. It's just annoying. That was my only gripe with the game. The whole, because like you said, I mean, like I told you, I got out at like Ruby and Sapphire, and I don't even remember what happened in those games, but the format of the game was super cool to me. And I don't know if it's like any of the other games after that, but how you have to go get all the badges, and then they do that crazy tournament thing that the tournament also doesn't really make sense because it's like single elimination, but it's not. Yeah. And then you have to beat everyone again, and then you beat the champion. The only part of that is confusing, but I didn't really care. I was like, this is fun. It just didn't make any sense how it was set up. You know, it was a single elimination tournament, and then you face the people you already beat again, and then you have to face one more person.
They definitely
could have the champion.
They could have done much better on the story. They always can.
But I did like the overall story of like how the commissioner. I don't want to ruin things, but the overall commissioner and all that shit. Like, I liked the story. It was cool.
Right.
It was definitely more involved in the original one. The original one's kind of just like, oh yeah, Team Rocket kind of fucks up your life a little bit, and you have a rival, but really you're just trying to win all the fucking badges and beat the Elite Four, and that's it. There's no real story. You just go and do the things. This one had an actual story with it, which was cool to me.
Right. And honestly, man, it's surprising, like so everybody usually says of like Pokemon fans, the 5th generation has the best story because it's like actually pretty involved and actually has some complicated twists and turns in it. And it's actually pretty dark for a kid's game. Whereas like every single other one is like filled with plot holes and doesn't really always make sense. But, you know, we kind of understand what we're getting. The real love that people seem to find with it, and what I kind of found myself with in the latter years of 2016, was the competitive atmosphere. Because when you start getting into watching like the strategy that some people take, it's an incredible amount of thinking that goes into it.
Oh yeah.
The combat system is incredibly fucking diverse. They've done a really good job at, you know, you would be surprised at like what some of the most powerful Pokemon in the game are.
Oh yeah, it's insane. There's some sleepers in there for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of underdogs, you know?
And with this one, I only knew the first couple of generations of Pokemon. All the other ones, I'm like, who the fuck is this? This is cool. And they have so many weird hybrids, which is cool because I ended up picking up a bunch of them and evolving them to be some of my strongest Pokemon. Because obviously, like you said, I like to keep a diverse lineup. So if anyone comes at me with anything, like, I'm good to go. Like,
fuck them up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. And that was the one thing. I thought that game was so easy, and maybe it's because I thought like that, like, oh, I need to have every style of Pokemon so I can just run through people. If you know, there's no way I'm going to get fucked with. Like, even if I have a weak Pokemon, I probably have 3 or 4 others that are strong against it, just in case. I wanted to have my bases covered, and that's how, like, especially with Let's Go Eevee, like, I had the fucking 3 first starters, and then the strongest Eevee ever. So I was pretty. It's a normal type, so you're pretty set, like, only against a few types, so you're pretty set to go even with just a normal. especially one that's your main.
Yes,
Yeah, fighting fucks you
is
up.
the only type that'll fuck up a normal type.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So
like you're like impervious against ghost, right?
Yep, you are, but you are also, ghosts are impervious to normal though.
Yeah,
and to fighting.
Yeah. You can't touch them, but you can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they do a pretty good job of like making everything kind of make sense. Some of them that don't make as much sense are like Bug is super effective against Dark type, and it's also super effective against Psychic type. I can kind of understand that one because I'm like, well, I guess people do have like phobias of bugs, but I'm also like, why Dark? That doesn't make any damn sense.
No.
and
it's so hard to get a bug Pokemon strong though.
In the newest generation, there are some that are actually really strong. But you're right. They for the first 7 generations, like all the way through until Sword and Shield, like most bug types can fuck off so easy. They have like 5 or 6 weaknesses, and like the same with Leaf type. I know way too much about all of the fucking types, and I can go on and on for days. So I'm not going to do that. But SarahB.com or .net, I think. SEREBII. If you ever want to go through a rabbit hole of starting to understand everything competitive, it'll take about 300 hours, but it's in there.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I'll shut up now.
Sword and Shield, love the story. It was cool. The way it ended was pretty cool. I'm stoked for this expansion pack that's coming out. For some reason, I thought it was out. The advertising for it kind of made it seem like it was out, but it wasn't, because I went to go buy it, and I was like, oh, it's not out for a while. Whatever, that's fine. I'm excited for that. I kind of want to – I let my friend Jimmy, who lives with us, I let him borrow it to play it, so I'm waiting for him to beat it to check out the more competitive stuff and all the stuff you've talked about, because I didn't really know about it, to be honest, because I don't think that many people like loved Pokemon as much as I did, so no one really even talked about like playing the game at all.
They were like it's, I don't know, especially like the Pokemon community I guess it's pretty divided right now. Like the people who really enjoy the game competitively and all of that, most of them are still in it, but like I don't know if you saw like all the controversy before the game was released, but so many people were pissed that the National Dex wasn't coming back to the game because they thought that the Pokemon Company was going to make you like buy that, which they kind of are with the expansion.
Right.
And so like if you look at the announcement video of them saying that before the game was announced, it had like over like 50,000 downvotes and like 20,000 upvotes or something.
Damn.
Like, dude, so many people, if you look at like the Pokemon posts and shit like that, there are like a lot of people just pissed. It's fucking weird. But yeah, it's a very interesting kind of thing to dive into. There are a lot of really good like YouTube channels out there for kind of diving into it. And they're entertaining to watch, but you know, only if you're a huge nerd like me, I guess, on that. So
no, I love that stuff. I just never got super deep into it. Yeah, but I thought the game was like kind of easy, and I don't know if it was like just me because I knew what to do, kind of thing, until the end. The last battle I had to do a few times. That one was fucking hard because he is good and he has powerful Pokemon and he has a diverse people. So I had to play it. That's when you super have to get into strategy, because you have to play it with, this one will take out this one in 1 hit or 2 hits before he one hits me. So you have to really like navigate it, and a little bit of it is luck too, in a way. Sometimes
a lot of it is.
Yeah. So it took me a few times to beat it, but I obviously finally beat it, and I was like, okay, this is cool. But I like the mythological element to the main overarching story of how it tied together. That was cool. They've never really done legendaries like that, I don't think. At least from my experience.
Yeah, and it's actually funny you say that, because the 4th gen, the one right after that, was like when they started experimenting with that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the legendaries kind of borrow in every single game from the 4th gen on a lot from like mythological kind of creatures and whatever stories. It gets more and more diversified as you go, but I want to say like the 7th gen was super underrated, because that one was the story behind those guys is pretty complex. It's interesting
because I know recently Sam bought a DS and I think a 3DS. I don't know, one of the ones. She might have actually gotten both, because one was just gifted to her because they didn't want it. And then the other one she bought for like mad cheap. And I know there's some Pokemon games with it, and I want to play some of those. I don't know which ones are there.
I can tell you. I got you.
But I do want to play some of those just because I'm like curious to see, because I never played those. Obviously, I was like too busy trying to fucking ollie when I sucked at skateboarding and fucking learning 94 hours on a guitar to play Pokemon.
Dude, I tried to like get into skateboarding too when I was younger, but like my peers that were kind of friends but not really, because whatever. I tried getting on a skateboard once, and like, yeah, they were like little shits back then. They just made fun of you, like to the point where you're like, ah, fuck you guys, I'm gonna go play inside then or whatever. So yeah,
I was lucky to have friends who didn't like shit on me for being terrible, but
that's nice. Yeah,
I was never good at all.
Yeah,
I would kind of just cruise along with them and like hang out, and they would be doing like fucking
whatever
360 flips off ramps and shit, and I'm like, I'm good.
I'll
hurt myself.
Yeah. I did Tony Hawk shit or whatever, like on PlayStation for a little bit, and also on Game Boy, because they had a couple games for that. That was about the extent I went with skating.
Yeah, I was kind of like super into it without being super into it. I had some of the DVDs, not a lot of them, but I also loved like CKY, and some of the CKY stuff had skating in it too. But obviously, it kind of got famous when Jackass and Viva La Bam came out. It was like the commercialized version of those. Because, I mean, some of this stuff is pretty fucking wild. Looking back at it now, the shit they did in like Viva La Bam and Jackass. But CKY is them, like, with no one telling them what to do and then just fucking filming it. It's fucking crazy. If you've never watched it, go. It's fucking, especially, I know your humor. You'll love that fucking shit.
All right.
If you haven't watched Viva La Bam, watch the first season, because the first season is amazing. I don't know if it's on any streaming things, but I'm sure you can find it probably pretty easily.
Right.
But I think the season finale of season 1, they do this like fucking like scavenger hunt, but it's all like fucked up shit they have to do. Like one is they have to like beer bong a fart out of someone and shit.
I have seen that. Oh God! And the dude pukes all over.
Yeah, it's insane. Like insanity. It's crazy. I always loved bits and pieces. I always loved Bam, and I think I might have because he was good at skating, but he wasn't that good. And he was in like Grind, which Grind was fucking hilarious and about skateboarding. And he got me into like Him, the band Him, and shit, because he had the Heartogram that was from that band and everything. And then I followed him up from Viva La Bam, and it's crazy now. There's even, if you get super, like, it's not really deep into the stuff because it's all fucking stupid shit, but but Vice did a documentary on him, I think last year or the year before, about like his recovery from alcoholism and stuff, and it's pretty fucking dark, because it's pretty much like, hey, I want to be sober but I can't be sober. It's pretty fucking dark. And it was like sad to watch. I was like, this dude was like kind of like a hero to me when I was a kid, I guess. Like, not really like a hero, but like I watched all his shit, like I thought he was cool. Right. But it's not like I ever wanted to be Bam. I didn't want to fucking ride in a shopping cart down a fucking parking lot hill into bushes. But, I did some stupid shit with my friends. It's just most of the shit didn't really hurt us.
Yeah. It's, some of that stuff was, I can understand it being controversial, but I don't know. It's just more about seeing like somebody that was very, very important to you, even if in a dumb manner, and seeing them really expose them true. So yeah, that's very interesting. I might look into that. That's very cool.
I think you would like the CKY stuff for sure. It's funny. It's funny shit, because they'll do like little skits and stuff in the middle and everything. It's funny. It's all based on farts and dicks and stuff. So
I do love farts and dicks very much.
Right up your alley.
Farts and penises and bowels, and dude, sucking my own penis, all about all that shit. Very cool.
So have you gotten any of the newer movies or anything? Because I know Netflix did a movie, which I haven't watched, but then Detective Pikachu came out last year, which did very well. I think it's still the second highest grossing video game adaptation. I think Sonic beat it, which I didn't watch Sonic yet, but I heard it was. I haven't either. I heard it was very good. Which is pretty cool that the first trailer came out, it got fucking trashed, and then the second trailer came out, everyone's like, okay, this seems cool, and then it did really well, and the praise behind it is pretty positive too. Like
I
most of the posts you see, you probably see I follow a lot of movie stuff, and obviously I started a podcast that's pretty much talking about pop culture in different forms.
right.
So I follow like all the box office numbers and stuff, and it did really well. And I think Pikachu was number one, and then that dethroned it as the highest grossing
That's really cool.
video
And
game.
it's actually not super surprising just because of how that all happened. It's really cool to like see that. I think the reasoning behind it was there's kind of this feeling in our generation of like fuck authority in a way. And so when the thing first came out, everybody was like, oh, fuck that. But like when they came back and said, all right, we listened, that was like one of the first times that had happened to a big generation of
Yeah.
something that they were trying to be served. So everybody seems to be like super fucking on board for it. One thing I saw that was a little bit depressing, I don't know if you read this or saw this, but I know that the guys who redesigned the Sonic team was made by a third-party company or whatever, and that company was primarily based in Vancouver, British Columbia. And right after they finished all of that, that company terminated like that entire team of companies. Yeah, just so that he could like pocket money.
Damn, that's fucked up.
It's really fucked up, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, I mean, I can support the movie because he didn't do that.
Yeah, it's not
He
their
has
fault. It's
no
an
control
outside
over
thing.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's difficult because it's like, well, fuck that guy. Like, it's and now that guy is going to be praised as the public. He's the guy who saved the Sonic movie or whatever, and I'm sure that'll be his talking piece. So,
That
just
sucks. They should view the studios as the saviors because they made the decision to go, hey, this is getting publicly trashed. Because who does that? No one.
Yeah.
No one's done anything like that. The only thing I can compare to it is there's this new wrestling company that listens to the fans and stuff. That's different because they have a weekly product that they're in complete control of. With a movie, it's a singular thing,
mm-hmm.
and they spent thousands of dollars to redesign that shit. Like that's
Yeah.
good for them to do that. That's
It
like
was a significant portion of their income that they lost. I mean,
but
granted,
they made the difference, obviously, but
right.
but
Granted, if they
still,
hadn't listened, they probably would have ended up with another, Last Airbenders
flop.
kind of thing.
Oh
Yeah. So,
yeah. People just
um,
talking mad shit on it and being like, "This is terrible. This looks terrible." Blah blah. Blah. And
they
they
were in
made
a very unique position.
and obviously they made the right choice. But did you watch any of the
Yeah, the movies.
newer Pokemon movies?
Yeah, I watched Detective Pikachu. Fucking fantastic. So funny.
So great.
I loved the way that they incorporated new ideas in Pokemon. Like there were some new Pokemon in there.
Oh yeah.
While also maintaining, I guess, faith to the original, watchers. So, I also really like the fact that their content now is less toward super young audiences because they're starting to realize, like, damn, a lot of our consumer base are dedicated people who play competitive or whatever. They get themselves really immersed in the genre, and so they're trying to serve those types of people.
Yep.
While also growing it the same way they always have with kids. So yeah, that's been a really cool thing to see. Other movies, I haven't seen a lot. I've really watched a lot of things on YouTube. Like, I don't know if you saw this. It was kind of an anime thing, kind of not. They did like a few episodes of more PG-13 styled-esque versus G of Red going through Generation 1. So I think it's called Pokemon Origins or something like that. But you can find it on YouTube, subbed or dubbed. And it's only like 7 episodes, but there's like one part that really fucks you up. Do you remember in the original games when they go to Lavender Town with the like ghosts and stuff?
Yep.
There's some pretty heart-wrenching stuff in that little bit. And they also did something pretty cool. They showcased the violent nature of Pokemon and kind of showed like how fucked up it kind of is. And how they did that in one of the battles in one of the first episodes. They pit the two people, Gary and Red, or whoever, Blue and Red, face off, and I think Blue uses Squirtle against Red's Charmander, and he like bites the Charmander and like refuses to let go, and the Charmander's like screaming and wailing in pain, and it's like,
damn,
oh fuck, is this Pokemon? Like it was And the voice acting is like, holy shit, what is happening? Especially just for, this company has always, of course, put younger audiences first. So
Yeah.
it's really cool that they're starting to like mature that, I guess.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out. It sounds amazing.
It's certainly not cool to watch animals beat each other up or anything, or like watch something go through that pain, but it's more of like an eye-opening thing where it's just like, what the fuck, man? Like they're starting to highlight some of that, and they go more into like morals versus like just showing animals beating each other up for fun.
Yeah, and they definitely touched on that in the Detective Pikachu, which I thought was cool. It was like the post-popular Pokemon world. There's still trainers sort of, but not really. And they had the scene with like the underground cage fighting of fucking Pokemon and shit. That part was cool. It's like they showed dark bits without it getting too dark in a way, And I thought that was cool. I love seeing stuff, and this goes with anything that I'm into, where it shows you the world after the heyday. Like there's a bunch of shows that's like, it's like an X-Men show, but it's like after the X-Men have fallen, and it's like the world of mutants in society after and stuff like that. It's like it's stuff like that's always cool to see from a different point of view or a different perspective. I don't know why I didn't see that movie in Detective Pikachu in theaters. I don't know why, because I'm a big go to theaters kind of guy. And I love Pokemon, and we just didn't go. There might have been stuff coming out around the same time or whatever reason. And I didn't watch it until like a month ago or something, which is weird. I don't know why. We just didn't feel like watching it or something, because I wanted to watch it with Sam because she wanted to watch it. So one day I was like, yo, let's just watch Detective Pikachu. She's like, okay. And I watched it. I was like, man, that was really good. And it got, like I said, I follow like all these movie stuff, and it got pretty high praise. People liked it. And I love Ryan Reynolds too. So to see him voicing Pikachu.
Deadpool voicing Pikachu. So
amazing.
Funny.
And he's funny, like seeing Pikachu in that like weird kind of light, because he's always just like the cute little Pikachu, you know what I mean? So him to be like a snarky fucking smartass was awesome. I loved it.
Honestly, man, that was probably my favorite thing. Like casting him was fucking just another like example of them being genius. I mean,
it's kind of a ballsy move in a way, because like you said, Deadpool is Pikachu. Like a lot of people associate him with Deadpool nowadays, because like he's almost Deadpool in real life, and like his attitude, you know what I mean?
His personality sold it.
Yeah, it is like he is Deadpool. That's why it makes so much sense. So it was almost like a ballsy move, but it worked. I was watching it and I wasn't thinking like Deadpool. I was thinking like, oh, Ryan Reynolds is fucking hilarious. This is funny as fuck. Like,
yes. And I think a lot of that says a lot about, obviously they're serving their target audience, which is, us being that. But it also goes into like society's expectations of like what companies can do. Whereas 10 years ago, we were kind of getting into the trend of people becoming more politically kind of correct in a way. And now it's like, we're almost seeing a decline of that. People are getting tired of that. And so it's like when you do those risky, ballsy kind of moves, it usually pays off.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Sure. Yeah, it is weird seeing the ups and downs of that stuff. And that movie had a good variety of everything. Like it had the emotional stuff that got you sucked in. It had comedy. It had action. You know what I mean? It had like the mystical feel of like a world where Pokemon could. It was the first time where you could think of it as because it was the first live action Pokemon anything. It started
to make sense.
Yeah, we're like, oh, I could picture this in the world I live in. Yeah. Which is,
it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, and it was so cool to see that, especially being a fan of Pokemon for so long, to get a peek into like what a world could be like with real life Pokemon was awesome.
Gives me hope. One day it's gonna happen, man. I'm waiting for this fucking piggy bank to turn into a little Pikachu, and it's gonna be my little buddy.
And even the CGI was great. They made the Pokemon look awesome. Some looked a little weird, but for the most part, they looked amazing. Like Charizard looked fucking terrifying, as he should.
It was sick, dude.
Pikachu looked cute, but like awesome. Like it was great. Like Squirrel looked fucking awesome.
The Bulbasaurs were so cute.
Yeah, with all the bubbles and shit. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Man.
Yeah, that was a really cool movie. Very well done. I hope they do like a sequel or somehow continue that world. I guess there's
a sequel, I think, of the game, because it was based off of the DS
game. Right? Yeah.
Because not many people really. I haven't even played. I haven't looked into it or anything. But that was a DS game, and there is a number 2. So I would be surprised if they wouldn't capitalize on that again.
Yeah, especially after doing so well. Usually, if something does well, they usually greenlight it like immediately.
Yes.
They're like, oh, Number 2's in development.
Let's go. Let's
I
go.
guess there's a weird theory that they're building to like a Smash universe where Sonic and Pikachu are connected in the same world.
I would love that.
That would be wild if they did like a crazy Smash movie. Like eventually, like a few years down the road, they do like 4 or 5 movies and they start like sneaking shit into like, if they marvel it a little bit and start sneaking shit into each one.
God, that would be pretty good. So fucking cool, man. Honestly.
You know when people would go see a Smash movie?
Oh God, dude, that would sell the fuck out. I mean, like it's gonna take a few years for that to like cultivate if that is a thing. But,
yeah.
I mean, my God. I would go see a Metroid movie, man. That would be fucking cool.
Ooh, a Metroid movie would be wild.
It's one of those things where, like, I haven't really dove a lot into it. I played plenty of games, but I never really paid much attention to the story. So to see a reimagination of that and kind of help people like myself, and I'm sure other people gather that would be really fucking neat. So
I think that's coming into light too, now that people can see that you can do video game adaptations right, and now that there's so many video games that have such like rich storytelling, people are like, oh, we can tell these stories on a screen. Why the fuck not? Because I think the thing that made me want to play The Last of Us, other than people saying it was an amazing game, is that it's getting made into a TV series on HBO, which after playing that game, me being able to see that on HBO is going to be fucking amazing. Have you played that game? Have you played Last of Us?
I played little bits and pieces, and when I was dating someone, she used to play it quite a bit, and I would watch her do that, but I never really played it all the way through. I played a couple chapters or whatever they're called.
Yeah, it goes through like seasons. The chapters are seasons, pretty much.
I only played like 1 or 2 of them, though, and so I have watched YouTube Let's Plays or whatever, but I never got all the way through, and it was always like bits and pieces at a time, so the story never, it's like getting this much, then this much, then this much, so it's just kind of like, so maybe here soon I will dedicate myself to that, especially if this shit continues on.
Yeah, and it's like $15 if you buy it on PlayStation, the online PlayStation thing. It's cheap as fuck. Yeah. Well, because it's a remastered version of like a 2013 game or whatever. It's pretty old. It's pretty old. But yeah, the story is awesome, and definitely when they do move it to TV, they'll need to change things because obviously it's not going to. It needs to flow better for TV. But the way it ends is insane. It starts off in a fucking tearjerker anyway. I can see the whole opening scene playing out pretty much the same, and people being like, fuck, what the fuck, this is nuts. But the way it ends, it's not even like a tearjerker. It's just like, what? And now there's the sequel of the game supposed to come out. It got delayed because of the virus, which sucks, especially now that I beat the first one. I was like, man, I'll play the second one right now. Let's fucking go, because I'm so excited to see where it picks up after how it ends. You're like, that's how it ends? What the fuck?
It's kind of like how the Final Fantasy one went, but anyway, go on.
So yeah, like I think they're going to start doing more of that, being like, I think there's like a Halo TV series in development too. I'm pretty positive. I know there has been for a while, but I think one's coming out for that too.
Halo was like my.
Oh, there was a few movies, right? Was there like a Netflix animated movie or something?
They did something with it, but it never really picked up popularity. I know this because I would have jumped all fucking over it if it was there, and I remember in like when Halo 2, Halo 3 first came out, they were talking about the development of a movie, and they released a trailer in like 2009, 2010, and I was fucking losing my mind at the trailer, but nothing came of it. Nothing came of it ever. And then they would like release some things, but like honestly, I gave up on Halo, man. After I played Halo 4, that was fun. I never played all the way through the story, and then like they took away the ability to play split screen in Halo 5. And that really got to me. That was like how I always used to play with people. So,
yeah, that was the big thing.
Yeah. So like taking that, like I can understand why they did it, I guess, serving a new audience, but I think they really alienated a lot of their like OG kind of fans. And I think that makes sense too, because it's not Bungie anymore. So which, that sucks. But I don't know. That's my opinion. So I'm sure that there's plenty of other people who probably like Halo that could probably talk on it better than myself. But
yeah, I only played it at my friend's house as a kid because I never had an Xbox. So I'd just play it with my friends, and I only knew the general story of it. And bought Halo 5 like last year just because it was like $20, and I was like, I'll play a Halo game. That's fine. And I got maybe halfway through the story, and the story's actually kind of cool. It's very weird because you're playing as
Is it Master Chief? Like
yeah,
he's against everything now or something, isn't he?
sort of. So
Kinda.
I guess in the fourth one, probably Cortana like disappears, and he
Yeah.
finds Cortana again, but Cortana's like melded in with this weird alien race or something. So he's in this weird mission to help Cortana and find her. And then there's the other team that's like against it. So you switch between who you're playing as, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that reminds me. Did you ever play Halo 2?
No, like I said, I only played like the multiplayer
right.
shit, so I didn't really play the story.
That
Or
reminds-
maybe I watched them play the story.
Right.
But I
And
was like 13, you know.
That's totally fair. Because in Halo 2, they did something very similar with. Do you know who the Arbiter is, or do you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to like team with the Arbiter in Halo 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He. It was kind of like that back then. In Halo 2, the elites started to like go against the Prophet's kind of like idea to destroy everything, because they were telling everybody, don't worry, like this is going to save us. But then the elites kind of learn like why the humans are fighting against them, because the humans are like, no dude, you're going to fucking blow up the universe if you use the Halo. And so the elites are eventually like, all right, something's fucky. So they start learning about Gravemind, which is the guy of the Flood, the I guess the hive mind that controls all of that. Don't really completely remember the story, but eventually at some point the Flood like goes against both the Arbiter and the humans, and I don't know, man. It's so strange how it all works, but essentially the point I was trying to make is that in Halo 2 you had to like go and play as Arbiter, and then you would fight the Flood, and then you would eventually team up with the humans, and then you'd have to fight like grunts, and I don't know. It's strange.
Halo 5 is definitely, from what I've played of it, it's definitely a similar kind of story, just different.
Makes sense.
It is very similar to that for sure.
That's very interesting, because like I've always been a big proponent of history repeats itself, and so Halo 1, 2, 3, it makes sense that 4 and 5, like 5 would follow in 2's footsteps a little bit. Just a weird observation. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a new one coming out.
Yeah,
soon-ish, fall or something.
Is maybe? It? I don't know. I've stopped really following it, but now I'm getting my curiosity all piqued again. I used to fucking love Halo.
Like Halo Infinite or something, right?
Halo Infinite, yeah. Looks like 2020.
Oh yeah, I thought so. Like I thought it was supposed to be like the fall or something.
Yeah, it doesn't. Does it say? Yeah, I don't see anything about that, but I'd imagine fall makes sense. They've always released around Veterans Day, so.
Oh, yeah, cool. I mean, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so at the end of each episode, I do something called Metalcore Minute. And it's a minute, and you talk about anything you're into. Obviously, we talked about Pokemon and some games and a couple anime you're into, so it can be whatever you want. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Ready? Right. Go.
Okay. First, I'm going to talk about Attack and how that made me fucking fall in love with everything that I fell in love with today. I was a total Seenie Beanie. Fun fact, I hated fucking metal music up until 15 years old. For some reason. I don't know why. Attack kind of helped me bridge that gap, but Rise Against was actually my favorite band for a really long time. That got me up into A Day to Remember area. That got me to Asking Alexandria, Attack, Stickly. Got me into everything else, as with the rest of my generation, at least a large portion of it. So I was always kind of in this weird field of liking the things that people did not like. So, yeah, fun stuff. I don't know. Was that a minute?
It was 45 seconds.
Oh, all right, sweet. The rest of the 15 seconds will be me, my facial expression when I stick my finger up my butt. Just kidding. I won't really do that. I'm sorry, podcast people.
I'm sorry.
I lied.
All right. You have anything else to plug and where people can find you on the internet?
Sure. Like my band pages, Brojob and Coldharbour. Coldharbour has new music coming out in 2 weeks.
Hell yeah.
And we have all sorts of new stuff. Listen to some good friends, Left to Suffer, Hunt the Dinosaur. And yeah, good stuff. Facebook, Insta, Twitter, all that shit.
You have no idea when new Brojob's coming out, right? Because we pushed everything back.
It's all based on when we can start touring. But yeah, new
right.
Brojob is on the way.
Sometime.
Very soon, maybe, possibly.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Of course, man. Anytime. That's it for this one. Thanks for checking this one out. As always, if you want to support the podcast, follow on social media at Metalcore Nerds. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts. That really helps new people discover the podcast. Follow on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to support monetarily, you can go to redcircle.com/metalcore-nerds/donations. And until next time, this is Metalcore Nerds.